Welcome into the BBQ Live podcast. I'm your host, Kurt Mueller. As always, we are powered by Hound Hogs BBQ Supply. They do great work. Check them out on Facebook and Instagram at Hound Hogs BBQ Supply. Make sure you use BBQ Life, that code on their website, and you'll save 10%. That's houndhogsbbqsupply.com. All right, so today we welcome in Pitmaster Logan Chesnut. He's with Small Batch BBQ. They're based out of Clarksville, Tennessee. Logan, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So Logan's actually coming to us live. Well, not live, but he's coming to us recorded from a competition. He is at a local competition, unsanctioned. As a matter of fact, it has some sentimental value to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, man, it's kind of where I got my start. Start off in 2019. Had a buddy, some buddies of mine. We were bourbon groups, and we all, cooked in the backyard. We started off on, the big green eggs and whatnot. We all got together. We're like, hey, there's this local comp going on. You want to go hang out, have a good time, and worst case we have fun. Best case we may win something, and never expecting to. Somehow we turned the meet in, and we got a third place pork. So it was fun.
I love it. That's a great way to kick off the show, because we always chat about journey. And I think it's important to point out that for those looking to get into competition barbecue, you don't have to swing for the fences. You don't have to try to hit a grand slam here and go into a bunch of debt and start traveling all over the country. You can simply start as Logan did, start small, start at an unsanctioned event, have some fun with it, learn the craft, build those relationships, and then make that jump into, the backyard or the pro side. So, but let's go back even further, Logan. Even before that contest, were you exposed to barbecue at an early age, or how did you even get to that point?
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of barbecue. There's local restaurant that I've always been a big fan, and I like to talk about, talk to the pitmaster, ask him how he does this, how he does that, try to be the best backyard hero I could be. I thought my stuff was pretty good, but I saw the show, BBQ Pitmasters, like, well, that's pretty neat. I think everybody starts off that way, and like I said, transitioned me to my buddies to give it a go with the first comp, and then that led to the second comp, and then I was approached by actually a local barbecue restaurant that they wanted to have a competition barbecue team as part of their advertising, and she heard I had minor success at the local level, and she asked if I wanted to do it for her. And she said, I'll take care of everything. I said, well, in that case, absolutely, I'd love to. So that kind of led me into diving headfirst into the barbecue competition world. I got to meet a lot of great guys. Chris Schaefer, Heavy Smoke, and Smoking Sweet Meats, and all these great Georgia barbecue guys. Anywhere I go, I always try to talk to somebody who knows a lot more than me. And so most of these comps, that's really not hard to do. I look around and see about 40, 50 people know more than I do. So I just try to take in as much knowledge as I can and improve every step of the way.
That's exactly right. And I do have to give a shout out to Matt Osmond with Blinky's Offset Barbecue. He's based out of the Nashville area. He's actually the one that connected Logan and myself. Logan and I did have a chance to meet in person, I believe, at the Sip and Swine back in March as well. So it's, it's a small world sometimes in this barbecue community. And, Matt has been a great supporter of the show and making a lot of great connections. So I appreciate that. As for our listeners, as far as Instagram and Facebook goes, make sure you do check out Small Batch BBQ. On Instagram, it's small_batch BBQ, and they can be found on Facebook at Small Batch BBQ. And I also want to point out that, those that want to come on the show, just simply reach out. I think Logan may have even mentioned it when we met at the Sip and Swine. I don't recall exactly, but I guess my point is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? So provided you're not an axe murderer, I'm likely going to say yes, because I love talking barbecue with all types of teams. So, all right. So started out at an early age. We chatted about that, kind of transitioned over into the non-sanctioned side. And then, you've really, transitioned to the backyard side of things now, right?
Yeah,
On the,
yeah. Doing
now,
solo now and doing the backyard side. So trying to, build myself up to where I feel like I can compete with the big boys. I'm taking a slower route than you did. I think you would jump straight into the pros.
Yeah, it did. Yes.
I did that too. I did a couple of pros last year, whenever my sponsor wanted me to. So I tried to find the biggest, competitions I could. And I did the Lebanon one last year under pro and got my teeth kicked in. So, it was a good, humbling experience. Make you realize there's a lot more to learn than what you think.
There's no question about that. And I think whatever path you take, I think the most important thing is that you simply start,
Absolutely.
simply start. And you know what? There are some folks that say, well, there's no barbecue competitions around me. Well, guess what? That's a golden opportunity for you to create your own, and it can be unsanctioned. Like I said, don't feel like you got to swing for the fences, right out of the gate. You can start something that's just one category, unsanctioned, in a church parking lot. I mean, it
Absolutely.
You don't have to be complicated with it. And I think ultimately, if you're able to just to get people excited about it and get people out there, that's the whole idea, right? Is people, people I think are a big part of that barbecue. So, all right. So how long have you been cooking backyard?
So this is my second year of taking it serious. I did, one comp a year for a few years, and then last year I did 10. This year I'm shooting for 12. So decided I'm going to go in. I'm one of those guys, whenever I dive into a hobby, I go head first. So got my trailer, got me some new smokers, and I'm trying to do it right. I'm a big boy and I like being in comfort. So, I tell you what, it makes cooking a lot more fun whenever it's pouring down rain like it was in, Georgia, and you're in a trailer under a roof.
That's exactly right. Actually, I think at the Sip and Swine, it got pretty windy. I don't know if it rained a whole lot, but I remember it being really, really windy. And yes, Logan he's a big dude. How tall are you?
6'9", yeah.
Yeah. So, clearly he's got to have at least 7 foot, probably 7.5 foot clearance inside that rig.
Yeah. So
now tell us about your setup. So you're obviously in your rig right now as we're chatting. So what's your setup like? What are you cooking on?
Yeah. So I got a 30-foot porch trailer, set up pretty traditionally, I think, like most people's trailer. I can show you. On the back, I'm kind of a hybrid cook. I start all my meats on my can. I use a gateway drum and also have a cotton gin. So start all my proteins there because, I look around and you see results from all the other guys. Most people are, either starting like I am on a can or using a can the whole time. And so I get that, like getting that grill flavor, and then I get lazy and throw it on my CTO. Put it in the oven and let it go. Because I like sleep, and it doesn't take as long to get going and feeding an offset or something like that. But they're all great cookers. I've played around with all of them before, and I think it's just settling in on what's your personality and what works best for you. But yeah, so I got my little bunk beds and bathroom, shower, all that stuff. So just professional tailgater.
That professional. So is that did you custom build that trailer, or is that something you bought secondhand?
Bought secondhand, yeah, from a team up in New York. I got lucky. I was on the hunt for a while and found a smoking hot deal. And when you find those, you got to jump on them. So jumped on it and kind of went from there.
So you mentioned you're cooking on a cotton gin and a gateway drum. Talk to me about the CTO. What does that stand for? I'm not familiar with that.
It's the old Hickory CTO. It's just like the mini version of the convection fan smoker. It's just a mini version of what most of the restaurants cook in. But It's good. It's a great unit. A lot of teams use them. You'll see them. A lot of pro teams use them for catering, especially. It has a large capacity. Um, but it served me good. I just like the grill flavor of the can, which is why I kind of do the hybrid.
So is the CTO, does it have a rotisserie in it? Is that kind of the deal?
No, it doesn't have a rotisserie. This one doesn't. I think the original ones did, but mine just has it has the firebox at the bottom, and then it has a fan on the flame on the charcoal box, and then there's a fan that circulates the heat inside the chamber itself. So you get a nice, pretty even cook throughout the whole chamber.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not too familiar with that type of a unit. It sounds very similar, maybe a cousin, so to speak, to like a pellet grill.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pellet grill on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you cook on Deep South, because it's similar to that, where fan circulates and all that, kind of regulates the heat. Set it, forget it, kind of an ordeal.
That's right. Now you touched on this, and I wanted to spend some time here chatting about different smokers because it comes up a lot, right? You ask 100 pitmasters what the best smoker is, you're probably going to get 100 answers, 100 different answers, right?
Sure.
But put yourselves in the shoes of somebody that is maybe a few years behind you, right? So they're just getting started, they just want to get into this. What are those considerations? Like, what are the things that they need to be thinking about when they're going to look at purchasing a smoker?
Sure. I think it's a few things. First, of course, is price. What's your price range you want to stay in? Because that's going to kind of set the tone of like what kind of grills you should be looking at. And then next is like, what's your personality? What kind of pitmaster do you want to be? Do you want to be kind of like set it, forget it, pellet grill type, or do you want to be all hands on deck, playing with your food and stuff like that, like a can cooker? Or, a lot of people I see starting off, surprisingly, you have the offsets. I see a lot of, old propane tanks that, redneck ingenuity, and you make them a smoker. I mean, I see a ton of those. So, I mean, those are, I think that's like some of the most pure. Like I used to have one of those, and it's a lot of fun, feeding the wood and whatnot. The hardest part I found about those is it's hard to balance that how much is too much smoke, because I feel like some people, you start off, people are just like, keep chucking hickory wood in there, and whenever your meat's done, that's enough. But if you treat smoke like a seasoning, you kind of have to limit yourself, which that's why it's nice. Pellet grills, kind of do that for you, or the Deep South, kind of help regulate that for yourself, and you just add chunks of wood versus full logs.
That's right. The other thing too, I think a disadvantage of an offset is, you do, like you talked about this earlier, you don't get a whole lot of sleep.
Right.
Unless you got a team, you can kind of take shifts, but most of the teams I see cooking on like, a Lang, for example, or a Jambo or something like that, there's no automatic feeding of that wood. I mean, a human has got to put the wood in the firebox,
right.
So, and again, I think I love what you said about, personality, because I think nobody really talks about, your personality when you think about what kind of smoker you want. Like I know when we had Brad Leiniger on the show with Getting Basted, one of the things he talked about was, he loves drums because he likes to, be really hands-on and, be really involved in the cook, and you have to be, right. You can't just set and forget it with a drum, or you're going to have a really big charred piece of meat that's not competition turning quality.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of mastered. I think he's the Tom, so-called Tom Brady of barbecue, the trendsetter of. I think that's why everybody started to do cans now. They see the success he's had. So, but yeah, he definitely knows what he's doing.
That's right, and I think too, it also, for me, I've got pretty much every type of smoker out there, with the exception of, I don't have I don't have a green egg. I don't have a ceramic,
right.
Like a Komodo style
Right.
smoker.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've got stick burner, pellet, the Deep South, just regular old, Weber charcoal that everybody's had. And, people ask me why. And I say, well, sometimes I just like to cook differently. Sometimes I want to do hot and fast. Sometimes, run it at
Absolutely.
225, low and slow, Um,
You can never have too many, man.
no, that's exactly right. You can't. You can never have too many. But I think I love, again, I go back to what you said about personality. And I think that's a really important consideration when you're out there trying to select the best smoker. I'd also say, like, just be, I would say be cautious, or maybe not cautious is the right word, but just be aware that if you ask that question on any Facebook group, you're, I doubt that the feedback you're going to get, I doubt that it's going to be very helpful. I'm not saying none of it's going to be helpful. I'm just saying that it's a lot of it basically anytime anybody asks that, it turns into a big, what's the word? Piss and match.
Oh, I feel like girls or smokers almost have a fandom of like college football teams. It's like, well, hey, I'm a Gateway guy. I'm a Traeger man. I'm a Rec Tech man. There's a lot of passionate people out there about their smokers, and I think you just kind of, I say, if someone asks you what kind of smoker should I guess, and try them all. Go to your buddy's house that has one. Big Green Egg. If you just want a nice backyard cook, they're fantastic. They hold heat great. It's just small capacity. Or if you want to go bigger and set it, forget it. Traeger or Green Mountain or a Rec Tech, or if you want to go all in, get you a big Lang or Jambo or Outlaw. So I mean, there's something for everybody. Everybody's got a flavor. You got to figure out what yours is.
Yeah, and you can even pull what I call an Aaron Franklin and just make your own smoker like he did.
Make your own, yeah. Make your own. Make that beautiful brisket.
That's exactly right. So, but that's good stuff. I mean, again, I think that's great perspective for those out there that are looking to get, into competition, cooking and cooking in general. Here's what I'll say, it's a journey and you got to ride the journey. And you mentioned this earlier, Logan, you had some folks, you started competing and then somebody reached out and said, hey, we want to sponsor you. I'm sure you get people reaching out saying, hey, can you cook for, my son's birthday party or, this little event. And I guess where I'm going with that is, and I want to get your take on this, is you want to start small, but with a caveat. Start small, but also just be mindful of what it could turn into.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think allow yourself to grow into what you want it to be. If you want it to be just, you going out there cooking and having fun, that's great. But, the better you get, the more success you have. People are going to, recognize that and be like, hey, come do this, or, hey, can you cook for me? Or, because people love barbecue. I think like barbecue, and it's just it's a food of love, because it's not, it really is. I mean, people love going to a barbecue. It takes a long time. There's no quick fix. So if you don't love what you're doing, people can taste that. So, but yeah, I definitely turn down more than I can do.
So what's the future look like? What's on the horizon for small batch BBQ?
That's a good question. That's a question me and my wife talk about often. So we own a home medical supply company, and that's my day-to-day job. So this is kind of my job of passion. So if I say within the next 3 years or so, I'll go that far. If I can sell enough on the side or do enough catering gigs on the side to pay for this expensive hobby of mine, I'll call it a good day.
It's a good point in terms of like just kind of naturally letting it grow organically and not rushing too far, not rushing too much too fast into it. Cause I've seen people do that and they get a little burnout. I also think that, let's face it, competition barbecue and catering barbecue are two very different things.
Totally different monsters.
So how do you, in your mind, describe some of those differences, right? Of course, I know them, but I'm just curious your take on how you would describe those differences.
I mean, competition barbecue I do not want to eat this stuff every day or in large quantities. It's fantastic, but there's a reason why the judges only take one bite, because they took more than that so many times you get sick. Versus, the best quality, some of the best barbecue I ever had is, backyard, you know, uh, barbecue or catering. You're going to go just more quantity versus quality. You're still going to do good quality, but a larger cooking, you're not going to treat every piece of meat like you do during competition. It's great eaters. You can eat more than 3 bones on a rack of ribs or more than a piece of brisket and not feel full. But I mean, other than that, it's just with both competition and catering, it's all about time management to get everything done at the right time. So that's a good overlap there.
Yep, you're right on the money. And I think what I've noticed is that for the most part, the competitors that have been successful on the competition circuit, are able to leverage that success, and it builds credibility, right? It builds,
Sure.
What's the word? A reputation. And I think it's helpful from that standpoint. And I also will say that, whatever the path that you end up taking, whether it's, hey, going all in with competitions or catering or whatever, I can assure you that just by going and competing and taking classes, you're going to become a better cook, period.
Leaps and bounds, man. Classes have changed my game completely. This year, I made it a point to take, strategically what classes I want. I did the Slaps Barbecue, Joe Pierce. Fantastic class. Highly recommend him. He is the most detailed man I've ever seen in my life in barbecue. But I guess that, there's a reason why he wins all those awards. And then, I did the Atlanta Barbecue class, which had all those great Pitmasters, Triple H, and Rooters and Tutors, and all those great teams down there. So, I mean, like I said, learn, shut up and listen, and, take as much notes as you can. And, it helps a long way. It definitely shortens that learning curve.
Yeah, I'd even say, I make it a point, and will continue to make it a point to at least take one class every year. And I think it's easy, and with a lot of things, it's easy to kind of get set in certain ways. And I always want to be exploring different techniques, different, rub combinations, et cetera. Because here's the feedback I get a lot from the older pitmasters, and it's just typical, is, well, we've done it this way. We've always done it this way.
Right.
So we're going to keep doing it this way.
Right.
Right.
No, absolutely. Yeah. But I feel like, I played college basketball, and, a lot of practice, and I went to camps, and I learned a lot of different techniques and stuff to help master my craft. And I feel like, if you're not learning, you're dying. There's always new stuff you can learn, always stuff you can incorporate into your cooks and make your cooks better. Just like, when I was practicing, there's always somebody I feel like is better than me. So if I don't continue to maximize my effort, there's no way I can ever catch up to those guys. So I'm being a competitive guy like myself. I want to try to do everything I can and learn as much and read all the books and listen to the podcast and take the classes to get me to the level where I'm, winning more than losing, because I hate losing.
That's one thing you'll find is everybody in this barbecue competition world, they are absolutely competitive, and rightfully so. They've come to the right place. But at the end of the day, we talk about, the BBQ family, and it is something special. I'm not saying that everybody gets along, but by and large,
most of them. Most of them. There's so many great people here. It's a great community. I know everybody always talks about it, but it's true. If you ever need something, I can't tell you how many times I've forgotten something, or something on my cooker's not working, and I have 4 guys helping me, giving me parts, or helping me, giving me stuff to get through the cook. They want to beat you. Don't get me wrong, but they want to beat you, at your best, and not because of the technicality.
That's right. So let's shift over to branding, and I bring this up because, your name has a, in my mind, has a potential for, some long-term branding, right? Impact. Have you given any thought to that in terms of how to continue to build your barbecue brand?
Yeah, I mean, I've thought a lot about it. Listen to your podcast with the Hound Hogs gentleman
Mhm.
talking about what you need to bring for sponsorships, getting your name out there, social media and whatnot. The name Small Batch Barbecue is actually one of my best friends. He came up with the idea. We're all bourbon lovers, originally from Kentucky, so I wanted to incorporate something to do with bourbon and barbecue. So Small Batch just kind of fell into it. It was a lot better than Piggy Smalls and them Spice Boys, which is my original barbecue team name. I thought this is a little more professional, a little more of a brand I can move forward with.
That's right. So what does that branding look like though? I mean, are you at the point to start looking at, merchandise, t-shirts, stickers, rubs even? Are you kind of there or is that farther down the line for you?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely doing some merch, the t-shirts, the hats. I'm working on a sticker, and I'm definitely wanting to do a rub or two down the road. I've been kicking some ideas, but it's something that takes a long time, and whenever I release it, I want it to be just right. So uh, I don't have an actual timetable when that needs to happen, but it's definitely something in my future. And I just want to kind of get more brand recognize people recognize the Small Batch name out in the community. So something I'm going to try to work hard for and do better on social media and stuff like that, which I'm terrible at. My lovely wife, she helps me with my Instagram and whatnot. She is like, take pictures. And it's one thing I always forget to do.
Well, especially you're a solo cook, so well, for the most part, yes, I know you got a
Yeah.
helper now and every now and then, but as a solo cook, I mean, especially when you are, in the, you know, the middle of a competition, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, which is
Right.
like I mean, that's everything, all the meats are on at that point, you're
Right.
bouncing around. Yeah, it is. I can see how difficult it can be to stop, slow down, take a pick. And, I'm guilty of the same thing. I mean, I'll say, okay, well, I'll take a pick when I get to this point, and then I get to that point and I'm like flying around doing something else. And,
Right.
I never get there. But I bring up branding because I think and this is something that I'm very passionate about, and something that I think is important for teams to realize. Doesn't matter if you're backyard, pro, unsigned, whatever, you got to build the brand.
Sure.
And if you're looking at potential sponsors, what's one of the first things they're going to look at? How many followers you got on Facebook, how many followers you got on IG, TikTok, you name it, like all those channels. And I shared a similar kind of attitude about it that you did or do. Is it a time suck? Yes, it can be. Does it take consistent daily effort? Yes. However, I can assure you and anybody else that's listening, if you simply put in some effort on a daily basis, you're going to be light years ahead of about 98% of the teams out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see like some other, big YouTube channels and whatnot. My barbecue hero, Malcolm Reed.
Yep.
I mean, I think him and Heath Riles have gotten this thing down to a science when it comes to brand recognition and what you can do with advertising and putting quality content out there. Uh, it's That's something I would strive to be. I love watching how to barbecue right. I mean, I think he's taught. I think BBQ Pitmasters got people interested in the barbecue, and then Malcolm Reed kind of taught you the basics.
Yep.
For
And
me,
you're right. Both Malcolm and Heath have just built absolute empires.
empires. That's the only word for it.
I mean, their marketing it's on point. It's consistent.
Yeah.
Everything is congruent. It all looks the same. The font, the design. I mean, they could. I mean, literally, they could both write a book on
Oh,
branding for barbecue. And I think, yeah, I agree with you. They kind of set the bar. When I think of,
I would buy those books for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Like when I think of like barbecue and branding, like first one, Heath Riles, Malcolm, like those are the first two that I think of because they just, I mean, they've done a masterful job of that. And,
Right.
I think that for me, like, and hopefully some of our listeners feel this way. Why not me? Why can't I do that?
Absolutely. Just there's got to be the next Malcolm Reed. It's got to be the next Heath Riles. And Malcolm, if you look at his like contests and stuff, he has a competition background, but he hasn't won huge accolades like Heath Riles or Brad, and all them guys. But he puts out quality, great food and great quality and good videos, and so it's not all about winning. It's just about doing the best you can.
That's right. And I would say marketing,
Absolutely, yeah.
you could have, 30, 40 GCs under your belt, but if the last, Facebook post you had was from 2016,
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, nobody knows about it. I mean, a good case in point is the team that won, the Royal last year.
QU, yeah.
Try to find anything on social media about them.
Yeah. He is the silent assassin. I remember he was in Lebanon, and I was like, get a little barbecue. He's on like the barbecue meat Rushmore right now,
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to go meet this guy. He's such a humble guy and super quiet, nice guy. But yeah, he's not the kind of guy to post anything on social media or whatnot or put out classes. And in my head, business mind, I'm like, man, you missed such an opportunity. You could have put a class that day and it'd have sold out 10 of them.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He could have sold classes. I mean, books. I mean, all of that
right there. I mean, he hit the holy grail of barbecue. I don't think it'll ever be done just because of a crapshoot. How big of a crapshoot it is for the Royal, because there's 600 teams, 200 teams. Realistically, you can win it all, and getting a 180 in every category doesn't guarantee you're going to win anything.
Right. Yep.
Which is nuts.
That is crazy. You're exactly right, and I agree. I don't see it. It's kind of like the Triple Crown, although it's only two. But anyway, it's kind of like the Triple Crown of racing.
Sure.
It's. I don't think we'll see it done again, or if we do, it'll be a long, long time. So
he should be coin flip barbecue, because apparently he's figured out how to win those coin flips. I'm terrible at those.
Yeah. Well, whatever works, just as long as there's a head and a tails.
Absolutely.
So as we wind down, I want to wrap up on really just some words of wisdom that you can share for those folks that are taking this in and sitting there going, hey, I want to get into barbecue. I want to become a better backyard cook. I want to become a competitor, whatever. From your standpoint, your experience and your journey, what are some words of wisdom you have for those folks?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, kind of figure out what you want barbecue to be for your life. If you want to just be, a backyard hero that, is the best, cooks the best for your neighborhood, or if you want to be, world champion, just, get out there and, ask people, questions. Like in this barbecue community, there's, we'll tell you 85% of everything we do, because everybody out here, and I'm sure you use, and if I look at your trailer and you look at my trailer, we're all using roughly the same stuff. It's just, it's all about techniques and all about, getting your program down. But take classes, talk to people, get out there and just do it. I know it can seem intimidating. You come out of some of these competitions, especially now more than ever. There's not a lot of tent guys hardly anymore. It's, you see these big rigs and big smokers and whatnot. It can be intimidating, but I've seen people, kick these pros' butts with a Weber Smoky Mountain, and just minimal investment. So just because you don't have the fanciest rig out there, don't mean you can't kick everybody's tail out there. So don't be scared. Just jump in, and we're all a bunch of great guys, a great community, and I think it's a great hobby, a great sport.
Amen. Powerful way to end the show and to wind things down. And again, we're chatting with Logan Chesnut. He's the Pitmaster of Small Batch BBQ, based out of Clarksville, Tennessee. Connect with him on Facebook at Small Batch BBQ, Instagram, _batch BBQ. Logan, we appreciate the time, sir. And thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks, Gar. Appreciate it, man.